what we're talking about today, how to move on after a breakup, right? And this is for men only. We are focusing on men in this video. We don't want to say anything about women. Women know how they move on. They are way more smarter. So let's talk about men, how men move on, or how you should move on after a breakup from a relationship. Let's consider that maybe a good relationship or even from a bad relationship. How do you move on? So me and my friend Lee, we're going to be talking about it for the next few minutes based on our own experiences, and hopefully we'll be able to help someone out there. One person, if you can just watch this video all the way to the end, maybe you will learn something, and we are also learning as we are talking as well. Anytime we meet, we're actually learning a lot. Have you ever had the experience, before where you broke up after a good relationship, from a good relationship?
Well, yeah, at least I thought it was a good relationship. Every relationship holds different values. If it's a bad relationship, I just think that it could be a relief leaving something that is making you sink in comparison to a relationship that this person is helping you move up, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, or what have you. It depends on what is involved in that relationship. Hurt is a given thing in a good relationship and a bad relationship. And the thing about it, first steps, I would really suggest taking it one day at a time and taking it step by step. And of course, we have that thought in our head, is this person that we care about so much, in good or bad relationship, is she thinking about me as much as I'm thinking about her, but I'm just holding it in and dealing with the pain?
You mean after the breakup?
After the breakup,
Okay.
because the thing about it is, and I think for that answer, I think that in any relationship, every person got a thought process of what happened. And the fact of it is how to deal with that, how to move on from that. How can I stop thinking about this person? All of these things is going to come up in your mind, and then replaying in your mind what happened to cause the breakup. There's so many things that you're analyzing on the first step of trying to move on. Is what happened, what I did wrong, who's at fault, I could have did this or she could have did that. I wasted my time. There's so many thoughts that are going through your head, and now I have somebody who told me I shouldn't have, but yet I followed my heart. I didn't follow my gut, and it's so many things that come into play when you're dealing with a breakup. And the thing about it is that when you got all of this going on, you need to find a place to think, and you got to have self-love too, to think that, hey, I'm worth more than dealing with this situation, or I need to find a way to reconcile this because I made the mistake. See, the problem is in a lot of relationship is pride of who did what wrong or whatever. And of course, when you're away from each other, you have air to think and to breathe and to analyze everything in a relationship, because that way you can see exactly, if I move on, have I truly moved on, or do I have remnants of this person still within me? And, a lot of people think that just jumping into another relationship is the solution of healing from a breakup, but that's not necessarily so. You see, and the thing about it is that you got to understand there's a lot of baggage still that you have not let go if in leaving this person. It's a lot of excess stuff that you still have to deal with, and it's not fair to take that into another relationship, So I think that a person has to analyze themselves, take some time and do some self-love, and to rebuild themselves up and to learn to have closure with the new discovery that they have come across in their life, to say that I'm better than this situation that I was in, or I need to realize that I did something wrong. See, that pride thing, stops people from saying, hey, I made a mistake.
How to move on from a broken relationship? I see like 3 things a man has to do. And these are not easy things, but I put this into 3 based on what you are just saying. I came up with all these 3 things. The first thing I think you have to do after the breakup is to look inside yourself, what you did wrong. Don't spend too much time thinking about what she did wrong. Spend 75% of your time to figure out what you did wrong and 25% on what she did wrong. Again, it does not matter who is right or wrong, but figure out what you did wrong in the relationship that led to the brokenness of the relationship, right? But is it that easy to really look inside ourselves? Because if you look at it, after a breakup, many people, we are quick to start pointing finger at our partner instead of first looking at ourselves, what I did wrong in this relationship. The second thing I think a man should do, if you can do the first one and you are very sincere with it, then move to the second one. The second thing you have to start doing immediately is start working on yourself to be better. You have to start working on yourself. Don't try to fix the broken relationship, because sometimes what we do is to start figuring out how we can fix that broken relationship. But start working on yourself. Maybe you want to go to the gym. Maybe you want to start reading more. Maybe you want to start spending more time with your friends. Maybe you want to start developing new hobbies. Start improving yourself. The first one is look inside yourself as a man. The second one is start improving yourself. Start working on yourself. That's the way I look at it after a broken relationship, right? Then the third one that I think helped me in when I was married and I got divorced, I think for a man to move on after a breakup, the easiest way to move on, not only the way, but the easiest way, is to find something that is better than what you lost. Is to find something better. Because if you look at it, we don't like to go backward. Everybody, as human beings, we like to move forward, right? What's the point of finding somebody like the person you broke up with? So the easiest way to quickly forget the past, to move on after this breaking up, to move on, is to find something better.
So you made a very, very valid point. So in order for me to find somebody better, I have to be better.
That's the second step.
Yeah,
you have to improve your step.
You have to work on yourself. Yeah, and self-love. And otherwise you'd be going parallel to what you had left before.
Yes.
Because if you have not improved, then you're just not really doing an upgrade. You're doing a lateral. You know what you're saying.
Bro, I could be wrong on this, but this is my own opinion. We always get who we are. In many cases, a man, you will eventually find somebody like you. If you are a bad person, you will find somebody bad.
That's right.
You will always find somebody just like you, in many cases. Now, if you don't want somebody like the person you left, now we're talking about men, okay? So if you don't want the same kind of woman, a woman that you left, maybe she was not good for you, then you have to find something better. You have to find something better. Find something better by improving yourself. If you don't improve yourself, you will only get somebody like the previous one.
One thing I do want to add on to it is that when you do finally get into a relationship, you got a couple of things that you have to consider. Are you ready?
When you get in or when you get out? We're talking about when you are
once
out.
you're getting out of a relationship,
Okay.
and if you choose to move on.
Okay.
Now, you got a couple of things that you have to, bear in mind. Am I ready to move on? Have I improved enough to want to move on? And in order to know if that next relationship is right for you, it may take a while to figure out if it's right, because you don't know that person.
That's right.
You have to when you're in a good relationship or any relationship, you got to learn the woman you're in. You have to learn what you're dealing with.
That's right.
And every person comes with their,
baggage.
I hate to say some stuff, because a lot of women get upset when you say baggage. Well, how many kids you got? Oh, I got 7 kids. Oh, well, that's
too much baggage.
I got a lot of baggage. Yeah, it's too much.
Yeah, too much.
I don't really want to consider a woman that has a lot of kids baggage. Because it could be some beautiful kids that could even make you feel more joyous. So, but everybody comes with something, or if it's not a lot of kids, or it could be an illness, or you can have an illness, and that person has to accept what you have and what you're going through. So, when you are meeting a new person, you have to, analyze first, am I ready? Have I worked on myself? Have I looked within inside myself? Have I looked in the mirror and told myself, okay, I love myself and I'm worth it? Working on yourself. And some people can work on themselves and they can fix themselves quickly. But for some people, it depends on what they come out of. It takes them a lot longer, may take months, may take years.
Yeah.
So we need to understand before we even jump into a new relationship, if you're coming out of a relationship, and how to survive as that relationship is self-care. You got to rebuild. If a building got torn down, you got to start from the foundation, from the bottom, and rebuild it back up to have a new building. And that's something that's going to take a while to do.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
Right.
We leaving one relationship and running to another one, most of the time we are not ready.
One thing I want to tell you is a couple of little scenarios in relieving a relationship. First of all, you got to analyze, and first of all, take some time and think about what it was. All right, we got a couple examples. You got love, lust, in love. They're totally different things. Now, let's analyze the first one. You love that person and we get along. Okay, I love that person. But that is a limited type of love, which means, it's like a relationship, friends and type love. You know what I mean? That you go with them, but not the whole 10 miles. But we'll go with them because you care about them. I'll get back with them all way on everything. Okay, we're cool. That's at a certain level. Okay. Then you get the lust part. Man, that woman she could make you go out because her physical appearance, her physical touch, her everything. And the thing about it is that, every time we get together, man, I have to roll over and go to sleep, because I'm trying to tell you she's the bomb, and everything like that. And, and then she cooked me some grits after, man, I'm happy. Okay. So then you think about that woman that you are in love with. In love. That means if she fall, I'm going to put my shirt down or put my blanket down. Oh, I will lie down. So if she lands, she going to land in my arms. You see? Or, like I said, she's somebody I can come to. She's somebody, I know you don't supposed to cry for a woman, but I've cried to her before and she knew how to make me feel better. She made me feel like I'm going to make it. She made me feel like I was on top of the world. And I just can't see myself moving on without her. Okay. Now, when you have to analyze the relationship that you was in before, because when you finally do that, this would tell you how long it would take you to truly move on. Why? you know, you can have, like, say, a love, caring type person. He's like, okay, if he's treating you better, you know, I'd rather for you to go ahead and, you know, be with him and know you guys are happy, because we're going to always be friends and cool. That's the first one. The first one. Love, caring type. You know, as long as she, you know, they okay, and long, you know, we're going to always be cool. Okay? Now go to the next level, the lust level. You know what I mean? That's the tough one, because, I mean, that's not the hardest one. That's a tough one, because it used to be a movie that came out, That Thing That You Do. You know what I mean? And if you see that woman after you guys break up, not too long, because some women could easily get on to partner number 2. You know what I mean? And you're moving on, but you ain't got nobody yet, but that person just grabbed somebody up like that. And then when you looked at her and then he's holding her and stuff like that, and you see her, it's going to make you feel a certain kind of way. You know what I mean? Because it's like, man, but boy, she did that. I know he's enjoying all that service. You know, you know what I'm saying?
In many cases, we men, we just don't realize.
Right.
You know,
so
when she leaves you, that's why we are not talking about women, because
we're not. We're talking about a man. This needs to be brought out, you know, because the fact, you knowing, even though wrong or right or wrong, I'm not talking about things on a woman's behalf. She can easily replace you, because that's just how it is, you know. Now, can you deal with that? See, that means you need that extra time, more than the first one, to move on. Now, the last one, that's the real test. The last one is the biggest test of them all. That is probably something that would take several months to years if you are in love with a person. That in love is so powerful. That's just like you going to church and you're serving God. You know what I mean? It's bigger. It's the whole package deal of what you built together. You relied on each other. You're comfortable with each other. You did it. And for that to fall apart, that could involve counseling. That can involve a lot, because she was your real, but you know how God said that she was right. That in love thing is a power thing. It's way deeper than the regular love and the lust, and you know, the in love is the whole package deal.
That's right.
So the fact of the matter is, you can try moving on, but it's going to be obvious, especially if you had friends or family or anybody seeing you guys together, just like peas and carrots. You see what I mean? This is the thing we're talking about. This is a situation that takes a lot of self-love, self-care, and I do recommend counseling, getting to your spiritual side and whatever you can get to say that you're worth it to move on. But some people, they can, but everybody cannot.
Yes.
And when a person is truly in love with someone, they, especially if it's something silly that they broke up over, they'll try to fix it, because the fact of the matter, regardless of what she do, you're going to think about her only because of all that time that you put and invested in this woman. So we're understanding the 3. So when you're leaving a relationship, you got to see what it was. You know, because sometimes, I hang with her for a couple of weeks, we kick it, then boom. But then sometimes it's a sexual thing. Or sometimes it's something that I want to put a ring on it. You see how we clarify these different things? Now, you're talking about 3 different levels of hurt. You know what I mean? And the thing about it, in any of those situations, you need to examine yourself, self-care, self-love. You have to really take inventory of everything you invested in that relationship. Because like I said, moving on too fast, you could either go to something that's the same, or it could be worse, down a level lower, because you haven't did the self-love and building yourself back up. You have to learn to build yourself back up. If a building is tore down, you got to start from the foundation first, because that's what's going to hold the building up. And if you don't do that, then that building is not going to stand.
That's right.
You know, it's going to fall. You know what I mean? And so, hey, you know, some people come in your life, just like Tyler Perry said on this, what I really agreed to, their limbs, or their, you know, and they could, you try to trust in it and just break on off. And there's some people that can enter your life, could be a root So no matter how many times the limbs and the branches break off, that tree shall not be removed because it's planted by the water and it's solid. You know what I mean? So when you got that going on, and if that falls to pieces, you're going to need a lot of time to rebuild yourself in order to rebuild yourself up. But that's something that when you have to look back and say, I love myself. When I look in the mirror, I can tell myself I love myself, that I am worth. Some people could say I can't get no better than it, especially if you broke up and it's your fault. You know what I mean? So you'll be trying to look at the next person as that person that you was in love with to replace the same thing, because really there was really nothing wrong with it. You just made the mistake.
That's right.
You see what I mean? So you have to analyze what relationship you was in.
That's right. That's right. That comes with more like working on yourself, improving yourself, which is very difficult things to do. You know, it's not if it's easy, you know, many people will be doing it.
Absolutely.
You know, to really work on ourselves, I find it you know, this is why, and I'm not trying to say nobody should go for a trainer, a personal trainer for exercise. I really think, in my own opinion, what the trainer is giving you is a discipline. Not too much of you exercising. It's a discipline for you to do what is right. You're paying somebody to make you become disciplined. Now, if you can discipline yourself, now you don't need a trainer because you can discipline yourself. The same thing applies to moving on after a relationship, working on yourself. Can you really work on yourself? Can you focus on yourself? Meaning that in a sincere and truthful way, knowing that your past relationship, whether it was your fault or not your fault, it doesn't matter, but you are now working on yourself to be a better man and be ready for the next phase. Because the next phase, when you are looking for somebody, you are not what you used to be. And guess what? She has to do the same thing. Because there's no shortcut. If she doesn't do what you are doing to improve yourself, she's only going to get the same person. You will get the same person like you.
The same energy you give out.
The same. There's nothing shortcut about it. You know. So
let me say this. I don't want to miss this little very important step. The real truth of moving on is when you're alone.
Yes.
Now, when you're alone, you understand hanging with your friends to help, going to church, going this and that. But when you are by yourself,
a lot of things happen when you're by yourself.
Because if you feel that if the walls are still caving in, then you have not moved on. But if you got the attitude to say, I'm fine, I'm doing good, nothing is bothering me, then you are going towards the step to the healing. But if because see, that alone time is the genuine article, because you are to yourself. You see, when you are into yourself, that's when you know if you're truly healed or over the breakup. Because a lot of times people say, oh man, forget her. And next thing you know, you can go in there and, blue moon, you know what I mean? So, that's where it really lets you know if the self-examination, if the looking within, if you have truly moved on. Because a lot of times, a lot of people will say, oh man, I'm done with it. I don't even want to talk about it. Because the fact of the matter, it could be so painful. You don't want to talk about it. It could bring you to tears. And so that's where the real judgment comes, is when you are alone. If you gave yourself enough time, they're saying that you'll think about that your ex less. Right. But then
it's because you are focusing. It's not that you are not doing anything. That moment when you are by yourself, you are doing something. You are doing something. It's not that you are not doing anything. If you don't do anything, nothing will happen.
Right.
So being by yourself can be you are doing something, whether internally thinking analyzing stuff in your mind
Mm-hmm.
and putting it into reality, so that it's just preparing yourself for the next phase.
That's right.
So we can't just say, okay, all I have to do is I don't have to do anything. Not doing anything is also a bad idea. Yeah. So I completely agree with what you said, that when you are by yourself, this is why it's very important for a man to learn how to survive by himself. How can you stay by yourself? Can you stay home on Friday night without going anywhere?
Wow.
Can you stay home for 1 year
Mm-hmm.
without going out on weekends?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Can you really? I mean, these are some of the things that when we do, it makes you stronger. And one thing I also noticed, bro, a lot of men, I'm going to say this anyway, so many men are just physically strong but mentally weak. We are weak. And many of these women know that when they are dealing with a weak man, they don't want a weak man. Okay.
You know something? Check this out.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about generations.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my son actually sent me something. He said, Dad, our ancestors were strong, but we are not. I said,
Fact.
I mean, the generations are completely different.
Yeah.
Relationships back then was just way different.
It was natural.
You had
was natural.
Yeah, you because nowadays it's funny. You know what I mean? I mean, because the ancestors will look at us like we're wimps. You know what I mean? And what they had to go through and what they had to experience back then, the generations. You know what I mean? So it's a part of being strong. Now that's something that a person need to say. This is what I need to be in order to move on. Need to be strong. You know what I mean? It's just like if somebody passed away in your family, you have to be strong to move on. So now some people, they are not strong enough to move on. You know what I mean? So like I said, we're talking about the depths of love here, the depths of it. Can you say that you're strong? Because time and reality will bring apart the judgment on how strong you really are. I had a friend that had his girlfriend he was going to marry had a tattooed here on his arm, covered up most of his arm.
Bad idea.
And I said, man, I said, wow, that's a commitment. He said, man, I love her. I love her. And she's my rib. I broke, and I mean, wherever I go, that's where she is. I said, are you sure? I said, you sure?
Same thing?
No.
Oh yeah, that's a bad idea.
Well, so the thing about it is that he spent
101.
This was a very expensive tattoo he put here, and they broke up.
Yeah.
And he said,
the tattoo is
he said, I have to go and spend a lot of money, something called rock and bomb or something to have it removed. But check it out. And I'm like, he said, man, I hate it because my arm's going to be all messed up and discolored. I said, but that's a big commitment to putting somebody on your arm. Now, I would even, that's a huge step, period. And he said, man, I don't know what I'm going to do. And then next thing you know, the next time I saw him, he had in loving memory of on top of her name. And then a lot of people, they see it. Oh, I'm so sorry. That person you loved lost a loved one. Yeah, she's gone.
Let me speak a little bit about that. In my own opinion, okay? A lot of many men are not mentally ready when they are getting into a relationship. We are not. And we get into this relationship. Remember that women are always 10 times step. When it comes to relationship, they are smarter. They are like 10 times smarter than you. If you are a 40 years old man and you are dealing with a 25 years old girl, that girl is is like 10 years smarter than you when it comes to relationship. Not all the time, but in many cases. But we men, we don't pay attention to it. So, bro, in the beginning, before we get into this relationship, many times we are not ready. We just look like men. In many cases, many of these men are boys. They are not mentally ready.
You're so right.
So they get into this relationship, they start acting like her, like another woman. And when you start looking at that stages, you get into this relationship, you think everything is going on fine, then all of a sudden you get out from this relationship, and you don't know what happened, what you did wrong, how to now improve yourself, how to get somebody better. Bro, it started from the root, from the beginning, before you get in, because you are not prepared. You are not improving yourself, And sometimes we think that when I get into the relationship, I will find somebody that will help me to better myself. No, as a man, it's better to better yourself before you get into, so that you are not depending on a man, on a woman to start fixing you. We're talking about men. There are so many issues with women, of course, but focusing on men, before you get into that relationship with that woman, work on yourself, be better. Don't wait for her to start fixing you, as many men always do, like a baby boy. Real women don't want baby boy.
And one thing I want to add on to this is that a lot of people get into relationships for the wrong reasons. And some just, of course, the biggest thing is men are so enticed by what they see, right? Women are so enticed by what they hear, right? So, of course, I want a woman that has a big this and that. And so, regardless of what her mind is and what she's thinking, you're not looking at that. You're looking at that behind. You're looking at that breast and what you can do with that.
This is why, in the beginning, as a man, you learn how to look past all that. Of course, everybody have done it. Of course, we're all guilty of it.
That's right.
But after some time, when you are improving yourself as a man, the qualification you are looking for to get into a relationship will not be all physical stuff.
That's right.
It will not be all physical stuff. As a man, I'm training myself to look beyond how she looks. Look beyond that. What she's wearing, how she's smelling. Look beyond that, and you will see that when you get into this woman's head, getting to know her, you will find some things a lot easier.
It's just like I look at it like you're eating a piece of watermelon, right? Man, when you cut it, it looks red and everything. But when you bite it, it's not sweet, And see, the thing about it is that loneliness is one thing that you need to really analyze too, Now, I don't think because you're lonely that, you had to automatically go out and have to get into a relationship.
You mean, let me make sure I understand where you're going with that. So you mean loneliness for men that can force them into a relationship?
Could force them into something that they think could actually please or eliminate the loneliness.
So they have to look for somebody.
Right. It's just like Tom Hanks in that movie, Castaway. Wilson was that ball.
Yeah.
And without that ball,
I like that movie, by the way.
Right, and he without that ball, that's the only, because of loneliness, he was loneliness. Just like Adam, he said, "God, I'm lonely here. I need some companion. I need somebody to talk to, and everything like that." It's the same concept, throughout the history of man. And the thing about it is that loneliness is one thing, but you have to analyze: do you think finding someone would get rid of that loneliness? Because sometimes you can have loneliness that don't necessarily need to be covered to be in a relationship. It could be covered by different things. I don't care if it's prayer or something else, because like you said before, some people are not ready for a relationship. You know what I mean? Because some people, you may be lonely, but this other person brings, the woman that you decided to get brings you total stress and total hell, you know, and everything. And, you know, so if you want to replace the loneliness with stress and all of that, that can make your situation a lot worse. You see what I mean? But the fact of the matter, you have to analyze, okay, I'm in a relationship because I want to grow with someone, but you got to understand what direction that this woman want to go in. You need to learn your mate and learn the person that you're with and see where they're going. Because some people just are in a relationship to separate you from what you work hard for.
So do you think a man should get into a relationship because he's lonely?
The thing about it, I say no. I think that you need to examine what that loneliness is. So like,
I agree.
You got to examine what it is, because not necessarily the woman could fix it. And she could possibly bring more stress to what you are already dealing with on top of the loneliness. You have people that are married that are lonely.
Yep.
You see what I mean?
Yep.
So let's understand, when you get into a relationship, are you ready for a relationship? Some people are. Some people are ready for a relationship. They're ready to grow. They're ready to open their heart and the doors up to finding that love. But then a lot of people, and a lot of this age now, young kids, they're just like kids.
Yep.
They just want to hit it and quit it. And it's not a relationship.
Even grown-up men too, bro.
Yeah. I mean, so we got to understand, we have to understand the whole concept of being in a relationship.
Yeah.
Now, everything, like I said, everybody brings something to the table. They have to bring something to the table. You need to find out where she's going, and she's going to have to find out where you're going.
That's a different topic.
Right.
That's a different topic, because so that let's focus on how to move on. That's what we've been talking about.
Right. So now, when you leave a relationship, you have to first of all, and we both agree with this clearly, we have to work on ourselves to make ourselves better.
Yes.
In order to attract somebody better.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Because the thing about it, if you decided to stay still and not do nothing, then what you going to attract? Nothing.
Preach it, brother.
You know? So the thing about it, yes, it's going to go both ways. Just like you think about her, she's going to think about you, regardless of the situation.
Depending on how, you guys.
Well, I'm going to tell you, in every relationship, we're going to always remember. We're going to remember. We're going to think about things.
Unless if it's a bad relationship, bad memory. Unless if the relationship brought back bad memory.
The thing about it is
for me, some relationship I don't want to remember.
Well, the thing about it is that the reason why sometimes it's good to remember, I'm going to tell you why. So you don't make the same mistakes you made before.
Okay.
Because you got to grow from it. Because some people, they could use you. You got to think about and remember in order to say, hey, if I know that I accidentally turned that the iron on and I didn't unplug it and I leave it there and I bang my arm against it, I got burned. So you don't want to leave that iron up again plugged. So you got to find a solution. And sometimes when you think about what you did wrong, you want to avoid being burned again. So you have to remember. Now, I'm saying you're not bound by what had happened, but life is not worth living if you're not learning something every day. Because you could be existing and you're not living. You're just existing. So if you're being still, you can't grow. If you got to do self-love, then you're trying to say, I'm worth it to attract something better, something greater.
Yes.
So it's just like the energy you throw out, you're going to get it right back. So that's what I will say easily. So, like I said, it's okay to take a little while.
Yes.
You're not in a rush. We're talking about your life here. Because when you take time to be with your mate, that's time you can't get back. We can't bring back yesterday. We can't erase what we did yesterday. You know what I mean? So the fact of the matter is, we have to learn today, I don't want to make that mistake. And I think about what I did wrong there so that I don't need to bring that into today. Or same thing with that woman. When I leave her, I don't want to bring that into today, because if I do, I didn't move and I'm going to carry that on to the next woman who don't deserve to go through what happened here. So everything is in the stages, and that's what I think. So
Good point.
Yeah.
This video is already we don't want to take too much time, but
Good
it's
enough.
very
But we
interesting.
definitely had
Maybe-
some words to
maybe
say.
yeah, maybe we always talk about making a second part of a video,
Yeah.
but maybe this one we have to do a second part.
Yeah.
Because there's just so much to talk about. So in 30 seconds, what do you want to say? How do you want to round it up?
Well, I have to round it off.
For a man, how do you move on after a breakup?
First of all, you have to learn to be still and analyze everything that happened. And you need to dot your I's, cross your T's. And you need to actually take one day at a time in order to make the changes to make you better. And it's a daily process. You need to work on you. You have to work on whatever happened. But don't ever stop. Be humble. Be humble, no matter what. Even if she came back running across you in any kind of way, be humble. Don't ever give her the notion that she hurt you. You know what I mean? Just like always be friendly, be humble. Because the thing about it is a person could notice if they hurt you.
That's right.
So you don't need to give them that power. They sleeping well, but you're stressed out. You don't want to give that person that power over you. That's the reason why you got to work on you in order to keep your power, to grow with your power, and in order to move on with your power. Case closed.
Good point. That's what I'm talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
All right. We see you guys next time.
You got it.
All right. Bye.